Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this, our second sector spotlights, focusing on service management issues in the healthcare sector. I'm Mark Lillycrop. I'm Head of Professional Services at ITSMF UK, and today we'll be hearing from practitioners at the front line of ITSM in the healthcare sector, highlighting service desk communities and service design and transition at NHS England, and user-centred design at Digital Health and Care Wales. We also have a fascinating glimpse into the future of the sector from Sarah Core, and a look at cyber challenges in the healthcare sector from our sponsor today, Manage Engine. We'll have a short break after the third session, which I think will be around 11:40, and then continue on until about 1 o'clock. These events are specifically designed to be interactive, so we do encourage attendees to share their thoughts and insights. We have a full agenda today, so I don't anticipate a long discussion at the end, but you can post your thoughts and questions in the chat as you go along. We'll keep an eye on any emerging themes or queries, so please make use of that function, and we'll pick up your points as we go along. This session's being recorded, and as with many other ITSMF UK events, the slides and video will be shared with you, and we'll put the recording in the relevant area of the website after the event. So that's enough from me. I'd like to welcome our first speaker this morning, Sally Bogg, who's Head of Service at Live Services in NHS England, and she's going to be talking about how NHS communities are tackling the challenges faced by modern service desks. So, thank you, Sally.
Morning, everybody. Thank you so much for inviting me today. I'm really pleased to be here. I'm just going to share my screen and we'll get going with the presentation, if you just bear with me. Great. Are we sharing? Can everybody see?
Yeah.
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So yeah, I'm here to talk to you today about the power of the NHS service desk community and some of the lessons we've kind of learned along the way from that, building that community and doing that collaboration. But first of all, thought I'd start just talking a little bit about me. I like to describe myself as a tea drinking Yorkshire lass with a passion for technology, customer service, service desk, but most importantly of all, a passion for people. And what I really love about working in the technology sector is the difference it can make to people's lives. I mean, nowhere is this more visible than in digital healthcare. If you think back to the pandemic all those years ago, 4 years now, you'll recognise that actually digital and technology played an absolutely critical and crucial role in the nation's response to COVID. My background, though, actually is not in digital healthcare, it's in digital education. I spent the first 15 years of my career working in higher education, mainly in service management, in and around service desk, progressing to the role of Head of Service Management at Leeds Beckett University in 2018. Then in May 2020, I joined NHS Digital, as we were then. We're now NHS England. There is a whole merger story, but a session for another day, maybe. And my current role is Head of Service, where I have responsibility for leading a number of teams, including the National IT Service Desk. And I work in the Live Services Directorate within the technology arm of NHS England. Live Services is the service management, service desk element of technology. We are responsible for the running and the maintenance of over 200 critical systems that underpin the NHS. So our National Service Desk is not internal ICT. It's about supporting national critical infrastructure that underpins the health and social care system. So within the role of National IT Service Desk, we have recently merged and reformed, and off the back of that, we've got a really new and exciting strategy, and that's around kind of sustaining our high service performance and our customer service excellence, which we always did, but really maximising and focusing on efficiency and automation using our tooling, ServiceNow. Our aim is to become the enabling function for all IT service desk requirements across NHS England. making sure we've got a single front door for digital and data technology services, and setting the standards for national service desks across the NHS for processing, tooling, and performance and metrics. So, I mean, it has been a really interesting 4 years since I joined, and I could talk to you about what it was like to join the NHS in the middle of a global pandemic. But again, maybe a story for another day. What I actually want to talk to you about today is the NHS Service Desk Centre of Expertise and the community that we are creating. So where did all of this begin? As I said, I worked in higher education, and higher education is actually really, really community based. There is so much knowledge sharing, good practice sharing, collaboration. And during my time there, I had huge formal and informal networks on which I could draw upon. If I had any challenges, any questions, if I wanted a job description for a new role, I knew I could reach out into the community. If I had a project to look at Office 365, I knew somebody across the sector would be doing something similar. And I was just really used to having that massive network that I could kind of lean into and get that support. So,
Sally, just to interrupt you, I don't think we've got
Yep.
screen sharing. I don't think you're in presentation mode at the moment.
Okay, let me just see. I'm not really sure how I can do that. Are you not seeing the slides?
Okay, we've got. I think
it's the presentation button on the near the bottom right that you need
down the bottom, the little screen icon.
Is that? There we go. Sorry. How's that? Is that better?
Not for me. Is that presenting Teams button near the top?
Hang on a minute. Let me just let me just go to the window. Oops. I can't even find where you guys are now. Sorry. Let me just stop sharing and do a new share. Right. So if I go into the window and go into my PowerPoint share, did you say there's a little, and I do from current slide, did you say there's something at the bottom?
There's a little screen icon on a stand, the right hand icon at the bottom.
No.
Well, it might be that presenting Teams button at the top there.
I don't think I've got a presenting Teams button at the top.
It's Zoom, isn't it? So it's not Teams.
Yeah.
So at the bottom you've got minus and a plus, 48%, and next to that on the left hand side is a little monitor with a stand.
Yeah, I can't see any of that. I've got no, sorry guys. I mean, I'm happy to share the slides afterwards and talk through it if that works for everybody.
That's fine. Yeah.
Let me just stop sharing then.
Sally, if you as long as you highlight the slide you're on the left, we have it bigger on the screen anyway in that other view.
Okay, so if I click, let me try entire screen share and see if that works.
Oh, no,
how's that?
Yeah, there we go.
Yes,
you've done it.
Sorry guys, it's very I'm not used to using Zoom. I only use Zoom during COVID. So okay, where did we get to? Okay, so I was talking a bit about the NHS, arriving in the NHS and not being able to find my community, which was very used to having from my previous roles in higher education. I sort of looked round, where are the service management peers, where are my service desk communities, but I couldn't find them. You know, where was all that NHS good practice that I was absolutely sure existed? Secondly, as we came out of COVID back in late 2021, 22, within live services, we established a set of strategic aims. And one of them was about being the NHS-wide centre of expertise for IT ops. Although the focus for this was very much centred around the services and IT ops capability we needed to provide our live services, we knew that we had a vast array of knowledge, expertise and experience that could be of value to the wider IT ops community. But how were we going to go about this knowledge sharing and collaboration that would really enable the whole of the NHS to operate with consistency and reliability? And my thought was perhaps I would be able to bring the two things together. So we did establish the IT Ops network as a place where those responsible for IT Ops and service management across the NHS could come together. This was established by my director, Sam Robinson. There's about 300 people in that community, and they had sort of quarterly sessions with typically anywhere between 80 and 100 people in attendance. And it was just bringing those people together to share expertise and knowledge, but also share key messages from the centre that needed to be communicated to the wider NHS IT Ops people. In April 2023, then, I got to attend one of these events with the purpose of trying to understand challenges and priorities across the service sector within the NHS. We ran a couple of quick surveys and did a bit of a discussion, and it was really obvious to see that there was a lot of commonality across the sector, both in terms of what service desks were struggling with and where the priorities were for the next 12 to 24 months. So came away from that session then and did a little bit of analysis on the data, and also arranged a number of NHS site visits. So I went to a number of trusts, I went to some CSUs, just really to explore in more depth the NHS service desk sector and get a better understanding of what that landscape looked like. You won't be surprised to know that top of the list of issues were things such as outdated tooling, the ability to report and provide management information, data and insight, and the adoption of new technology. Alongside that, there was a real challenge for the attraction, development and retention of service desk people across the NHS service desks. And many desks were looking at implementing new IT service management tools and wanted to know and understand what the wider market looked like. Several were looking at standards and benchmarks and how these could work in an NHS context. Lots of the service desk community within NHS are using the SDI standards, but there is always a bit of, but what does it mean for the NHS? And the main feedback I got, though, actually was, although they wanted support from the centre, they didn't want the centre just coming out and telling them what to do. What they really wanted was their own service desk community. They really wanted to be able to benchmark against similar trusts and similar sized organisations. As I said, we do have a national service desk that's in my portfolio, but it's very different to some of the trusts. You know, we are not internal ICT. They will have a lot of internal ICT. They'll be providing support for a lot of bespoke systems and services. They've got a lot of technology debt. So although a lot of similarities, there's a lot of specialisms and a lot of sort of uniqueness within the NHS as well. So it was about really trying to bring that together. And that's what they wanted. They wanted to know, similar trust, what's your staffing model on your service desk? What tool set is everybody using? How are people getting on with the adoption of multi-factor authentication, etc.? So really could see there was that demand for the community. As I said, NHS service desks facing many challenges, you know, lack of resources, top of the list, outdated IT service management tooling, and the ability to bring in and attract and retain high quality staff. All this balanced against an increasing demand for service desk services that's just not going away. I knew that there was an absolute treasure trove of knowledge and good practice out there that we could tap into. So off the back of that, we launched the service desk community with the aim of helping people to understand and address some of the challenges faced by modern service desks. Our ambition is to be able to provide support and guidance to enable teams and individuals to build and enhance service desk capabilities within their own organisation. And we would do this through identifying and sharing best practice, connecting people both physically and virtually to share experiences and challenges, seeking innovation and horizon scanning across the sector, and promoting and identifying opportunities for collaboration. So we set out then 3 strategic aims for the service desk community. The first one is that we would set standards. We would own and curate the standards for process, tooling, performance and metrics for the NHS England National IT Service Desk. But what we would do is we would publish these to the wider community so they were there for any NHS service desk organisation to utilise should they choose to do so. We would create knowledge and solutions. We will commit to creating templates, toolkits and good practice guides to support the NHS service desk community. We'll provide regular benchmarking reports and surveys that provide data and insight to help us create excellent service desk capabilities. And we would share knowledge and those solutions. We will facilitate and support the NHS service desk community We will organise events, maintain a channel for NHS service desk discussion, and provide those critical opportunities for collaboration and knowledge sharing. Quite ambitious. Oops, sorry. So we established the community, and we got everything up and running, but then we realised that we had a bit of a challenge. Whilst there was that appetite and goodwill, what was missing was a platform on which to do the knowledge sharing. We were using Teams and we were using Outlook, and the management overhead was growing significantly. Managing a meeting invite that's got 70 plus members, some of whom only ever want to come once just to listen to a specific topic. My Outlook was crashing. I was getting 30 out of offices every time I sent a meeting invite. It just became a bit of a nightmare. And we were using Teams as well. And what we were finding was, although the Teams chat was quite good during the community calls, the conversations were drying up quite quickly after the meeting. So what we needed actually was a platform. And off the back of this, we developed the NHS Service Desk Centre of Expertise using SharePoint. It was open access to anybody with the NHS mail tenancy, so we didn't have to manage loads of subscriptions, reducing the overhead. And we would just create that as a repository for all of our good practice, supplemented with toolkits and templates and links to areas of interest. I mean, it's still in its infancy, but we have made loads of good progress already. It complements existing frameworks. It's not to replace things such as SDI and ITIL, but it's there to give that NHS context to everything that we are trying to do. And this is just a bit of a screenshot that I thought I'd show you, but I am actually, if I've got time at the end, going to give you a bit of a tour of both the Centre of Expertise platform and the Viva Engage channel, because actually it's the Viva Engage channel where the real value is. This is our channel, our engagement channel, formerly Yammer, very easy to manage because it's subscription based, so people just join if they want to join and unsubscribe if they want to leave, and there's no overhead on me. And it's just providing us with a place where we can have all those all important conversations outside of the sort of formal structured meetings. We launched it in January, and delighted to say it's already got 120 members. As I said, it's easy entry, so you just have to subscribe and start contributing, and then you can unsubscribe. You can turn the notifications on, so you can get an email to say somebody's posted, or you can turn them off so it's not cluttering up your inbox, and you can just go in and look when you want to look. And it's already provided a really lively channel with lots of great conversations taking place. We've had chats around what processes are people using for CSI, how are they doing call monitoring. We ran a poll to see what tools people are using. There's been a bit of a chat around training and development. It really has proved to be sort of a valuable communication channel, and it's just really keeping the conversation going in between those meetings. And again, just a couple of screenshots just to show you some of the things and some of the discussion points we've had on there. You can see 120 members, we've had blog posts, we did some stuff around a bit of a chat around quality assessments. It just is proving a really sort of valuable resource that people can tap into and also can contribute. And what we're finding is the conversations on the channel are much richer, and people are contributing more than they would. Not everybody wants to kind of talk on meetings. So and again, I'll just show you a bit of this at the end. So what have we delivered so far then? As well as establishing the community, we have developed a toolkit for any service desk within the NHS that wants to write a strategy. There's a template that supports that, and it's got all the good practice and knowledge in there, all the headings that you should include, all the things that you should factor in. And off the back of that, we ran a 2-hour webinar that had about 30 attendees. Great feedback from that one. Back in October, November, we ran a big survey, and we published the results in January. And that was around how service desks are doing performance reporting and what metrics are they using, etc. We had 44 respondents to that, so we had quite a rich data set, and that was across trusts, arm's length bodies, CSUs, for example. CSUs are commissioning support units. We got some really, really great insight into what that looks like across the sector. So in some areas, in terms of performance reporting, we've got some really good practice going on and we're quite mature. And then in other areas, we're less mature and there's definitely some work to do. So one of the sort of insights there was a lot of service desks struggling to kind of get business cases through for tooling or staffing, and really struggling to demonstrate their value, and that they're not actually doing things like measuring cost per contact and overall cost of service desk. So definitely some things that we can learn there, and some future sessions will come off the back of that. We've already had a bit of a demo of how we actually do cost per contact within our service desk. We've run 3 community calls. The next one is due on the 14th of May. Our ambition is that we have them monthly. We do tend to stand them down during holiday periods when we know people are in school holidays and things like that. We've published 2 blogs, and the big one is we are planning an ITSM tooling event. This is scheduled for the 11th of June. This is going to be our big event of the year. Tooling is the kind of hot topic across all of the service desks. Either we don't like what we've got, we're due to reprocure a new one, or how do we make the most of what we've got? So we're going to split that into 2 parts. The morning of the event, we're going to run a tooling session for those looking to procure and implement in the next 12 to 18 months. We'll have a supplier showcase, etc. And the second half in the afternoon will be focused on those wanting to optimize their tool, how they can maybe take their ITSM tooling into the enterprise service management space, and then how they can demonstrate return on investment. So delivered quite a lot so far, and really pleased where we've got to in such a short space of time. Has been a bit of a learning curve, unsurprisingly. So in terms of communities, we absolutely were right in thinking there is that treasure trove of experience out there. There is an absolute wealth of knowledge and good practice across the NHS sector that we want everybody to be able to tap into. Communities need ownership. In my head, my sort of utopia and ambition was that we would absolutely be self-organising, and we could take it in turns to chair the meetings, and everybody would play a really active role. And that at the moment is just not the reality. It does need ownership. It does need people to drive the meetings, drive the agendas, come up with the suggestions. What we typically find with the community calls is people turn up to listen. So we try to bring in people to talk about their experiences and to share some good practice, and we get a lot of sort of sidebar conversations going on. But then what we then have is the follow-up stuff that takes place on the Viva Engage channel, where people are much more willing to contribute and have those open discussions. Third point, better to have a low bar for entry, so making access really easy. We don't have a big, you can only have 2 people, etc., etc. Teams and Outlook were not the right places. The management overhead of trying to kind of keep on top of those and add people and take them off and etc. just became really unwieldy. And at that point, it would have been really easy for it to kind of die off, because I just didn't have the time. And it's, it's not very joyful, is it? Just doing loads of admin. So having that low bar entry is absolutely critical to building and growing a community. There is still lots of work to do so far, lots of progress. The site is in its infancy, but we are starting to build it out. But really, it's something I'm really passionate about. And I think for any sector, just having those communities is just really important. There is just a wealth of experience and good practice out there that we should all be trying to tap into, and never more is that more important than in the healthcare sector, where technology and digital can just have such a far reaching impact. So I'm going to stop sharing and then reshare, because that's the only way I know how to do it. But I'm just going to give you a bit of a tour of the Centre of Expertise, and then I'll show you the Viva Engage channel, if that's okay. So I'm going to go for this, and I'm just going to say, can you all see the Service Desk Centre of Expertise?
Yes.
Yep.
Brilliant. Oh, that was easier then, wasn't it? So this is the homepage, Service Desk Centre of Expertise. It's a really simple site. I'll just talk you through some of the sections. So first bit is we publish all of our community events on the site, and it means I just don't have the management overhead of managing large calls. You just go in, you choose the one you want to attend to, and you're responsible for adding it into your own diary, and therefore you're kind of in control, and you're not getting meeting invites that you don't want, etc. We have then this space is where we post our blogs. I think there's blogs currently. We've got one that was about improving patient care through a process of CSI. We've got one that was talking, we've just recently sent some floor walkers out to NHS England to support a go live in an NHS trust, which has been a really interesting experience, and something I think is really important for anybody in a digital role to kind of get out there and get on the front line in healthcare and understand and see how services are being used in the real world is so important. And we do it at least once a year. We send out a few, and we always get great feedback, and people come back with that renewed vigor. So that's the blog area. Community minutes, where we post all the minutes, terms of reference, and I'll just show the areas of focus. So they are actually built very similar to the structure of the SDI concept areas, just because they're the kind of hot topics. But if I take you to, for example, the people area, you can see there's just some good practice information. There's some links there to things like Sophia, the service desk professional standards, and then we've just got some documentation as well that we can publish, so there's more information. So it's a really rich site. The bit that's missing at the moment is the templates and the documentation that supports all of this, that we want to crowdsource from the community. But we've only been going 4 months. People are getting the kind of courage to be able to share things now, and we're starting to publish them. But it's going to be a really, really rich resource for the NHS community for service desk, and I think just having that really easy platform and having it all in one space is really important. Okay, I will show you the Viva Engage channel then, and as you can see, there's just a nice button there that takes you to the Viva Engage channel. Hopefully you can still all see that. Do I need to stop sharing and reshare?
We've got the welcome page at the moment.
Yeah, just bear with me 1 minute then, and I will pop I'll stop sharing and then share again. There we go. Can you see the NHS Service Desk Centre of Expertise Viva Engage page? Brilliant. Okay, well, you can see, first of all, it's got all of the members there. We've currently got 120. We've had quite a flurry of new members join in the last week. You just come on and you click join, and basically that's it, and then you can leave. It's very, very easy subscription, and we realized that was actually really important. And I think there's a bit where you can manage the notifications if you don't want the emails coming into your inbox, etc. So this one here has been quite a lively conversation, 10 responses, looking to replace our tooling, talk a bit about what they're looking at, and then there's just been a whole host of responses around what we've got and what we've done, etc. So that's been really powerful conversation. And there's a question there around Ivanti. I was just promoting the agenda for the 14th of May meeting, and also publishing the tooling event. That's our benchmarking performance survey, that I thought I'd just give a bit of a push. And we're promoting a blog. We did a little bit of a meetup at SITS last week, 2 weeks ago, which was really nice. We've got some stuff on here about, there's been a bit of a topic of conversation on the community calls around sort of spamming and phishing that's being directed at sort of hackers actually targeting IT help desk, and off the back of that we've had a bit of a chat about that. There was a conversation around CSI, and as you can see, it's just proving a really, really there's lots of responses and answers to the questions. So yeah, it's something I'm really passionate about communities, passionate about service desk, but so important across the NHS, where resources are tight, and just being able to have that wealth of experience and knowledge to tap into is just going to make all the difference. So I think I'm going to stop sharing now. Have I stopped sharing? I have no idea.
Yes, you have.
Excellent. Okay. And I don't know, Mark, I don't know how long I've been talking for. It feels like ages, but have we got time for any questions, or do we need to move on?
You've got about five minutes or so. If anybody has any questions, feel free to stick them in the chat, and Sally can pick them up from there. If not, that was an excellent session to get us going. Sally, thanks very much indeed. And
No problem. Thank you.
access to your communities, is it restricted or
It's restricted at the moment to anybody with an NHS male tenancy. It is only for NHS members, so it's people that are working in the NHS. We're not opening it up beyond that. We have a little bit of a challenge at the moment around how we give people access without the NHS male tenancy, and I'm just working through a technical solution on that. And just to say, Rob, I would absolutely love it to cover NHS Wales, and I'll be speaking to a few colleagues. Again, I just need to get over the technical limitations of it's open to anybody on the NHS male tenancy at the moment. So there is some whitelisting, but it's proving a little bit clunky, and I don't want to get back into that thing of having to approve and give access. But yes, it's I want it to be for the whole of the NHS and not just NHS England.